We are at the American Bankers Association Ag Lending Conference going on in Omaha, and joined now by this year's Bruning Award winner. It's the highest honor that can be received in the ag banking industry, and the recipient, Matt Williams, who is president and CEO of the Gothenburg State Bank, Gothenburg, Nebraska. Matt, congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much, Ken. I'm really excited about this. I've known the Bruning family all of my life, and I'm passionate about ag banking, and I think we have a great future in front of us.
Well, this is kind of that highest honor. You're not really stepping away. It's kind of a pause in what you're doing, but look back on your many decades now of service and how we got to this point.
Well, it's interesting. I told the group this morning I'm a product of the ag crisis of the 80s. My career in banking started in 1974 when we were shoveling money out the front door of the bank as fast as we could, and inflation was rampant, and then we hit the 80s and things stopped. And that's when I stepped back and took a look at it's got to be more than just banking. And bankers are the lifeblood of their community. And that's when I became more involved with politics, more involved with our association like the Nebraska Bankers and the American Bankers, making those kind of commitments to our future.
You're also a past chair of the American Bankers Association, and I want to talk about a couple of issues, and one being regulation, not to get too far into the weeds, but Dodd-Frank, and talk about that and the impact it's having. You know, we know about the big banks, but let's talk about how it is to those rural banks and those community banks and the impact it's having on them.
It's always about the unintended consequences. You know, the community banks in our country, which are most of the banks in our country, had nothing to do with the economic collapse that happened in 08 and 09. But the emphasis and the eventual issues that come out of Dodd-Frank really hit the community banks right between the eyes. Banks like ours, $145 million bank, ag bank sitting in the middle of Nebraska. The compliance issues, the complexities, it takes us away from doing the things that we really should be doing, which is loaning money and spurring on our economy. So it's up to our group, though. It's up to the bankers to step up and tell that story so that the legislators and the regulators understand that as long as they handcuff us, we can't make the necessary gains with our economy that we could do.
Do you think banks are under maybe a disadvantage than some of the competitors, the farm credit, the other sources of credit that's available right now?
Well, we certainly are. There's no question about it. Farm credit is completely exempt from all the rules and regulations of Dodd-Frank. That's an interesting dilemma that we did not cure when it was passed. But you know, it's more than that. It's still just stepping up and having the regulators and the legislators understand what these rules really do to us.
All right, let's talk agriculture with the ag bankers, ag lending. We're coming off of something we haven't seen in about the time you got started in this industry. So as we see a little slight correction, if you will, in the grains, but livestock still is moving quite well. What are you seeing for the ag landscape, and any pearls out there for those that are trying to see how to get through this little bump?
Well, I think it may be more than just a little bump right now with grains, you know, with these prices reducing like they have. But a lot of people ask the questions, what are the similarities between now and the 80s when we had, you know, a disastrous situation with ag? And actually the 80s were significantly different than where we are now. In the 80s we had highly leveraged balance sheets on the part of most of our producers. We'd had rampant inflation with ag land, and then we headed into a period of time where prime rate got to 21%. All of those things are different at this time, but I think the word right now is caution. You know, you don't drive too fast when the roads are icy like they were in Omaha this morning. You slow down a little bit and you analyze what's going on. I still believe the long-term future for agriculture is very bright. We have population increasing in our world. In fact, the projections are that we're going to have 9 billion people by 2050. And we're poised with agriculture and agricultural banking to feed those people. So I think there's a bright long-term future.
Let's talk even more local. As of just a few days ago, you are one of 17 new Senate-elects in the Nebraska unicameral. With your experience and everything that you bring and the area you'll represent, some challenges, a new governor, a new speaker, a new budget cycle, lots to get on board with.
You know, the learning curve for me is really steep right at this point, as it is for a lot of people. You know, I am one of those people that's absolutely convinced that leadership makes a difference, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your community, whether it's in your church. And we have a new generation of leaders in Nebraska. We did just elect a new governor, a good new lieutenant governor, a new attorney general, a new auditor, and 17 new state senators. And we're all going to be in the same boat, trying to find ways to improve things in our state. We've got so many things, Ken, that go well in our state, but there are areas that we can improve on. Real estate taxes, a sustainable water policy, continuing to increase and improve education, and recognizing that workforce development is something we need to work on, and then finally, realizing that ag is our #1 industry in our state, and we have to do everything to support it.
Last question. It's going to be a good softball. As you talked this morning, giving your remarks, talked about your bank and those employees and your family and how it's all kind of worked together. And it's kind of a unique situation, some of the tenure you have at your bank.
We really do. We have a great group of people. When I came back to the bank in 1973, following the untimely death of my father, he had surrounded himself by really high-quality people. And that was an important lesson for me to learn at 24 years old, that you always surround yourself with people that are great talent, but also people that have vision and are committed to what they do. Mike Hildebrand, who is stepping up next year to be chairman of the ABA Ag Committee, has been with our bank for almost 35 years, my assistant for 30 years. We've got other 30-plus year people, and then we have a new crop of young professionals, including your son, who works for us now, we're really excited to have him on staff.
Well, thank you. And again, we're doing this because you're the award winner, but appreciate those comments. Well, again, Matt, congratulations on the Bruning Award. I'm sure it's a humbling experience, but well-deserved.
Thank you very much.
Matt Williams, who is president and CEO of the Gothenburg State Bank, Gothenburg, Nebraska, the winner of the 2014 Bruning Award with the American Bankers Association Ag Lending Conference going on here in Omaha. For Ag View, I'm Ken Rogers.